Hey everyone, I'm doing a quick little video on just motivation and not giving up and realizing that just because you don't have your achievements or credentials right now does not mean that you're doomed to failure or anything like this. And I think this is something that I notice a lot of people they judge others based on what credentials they have so far. And I think that's such a foolhardy thing. I was reading up on James Cameron. I'm actually going through all these biographies just on the Wikipedia of these very successful filmmakers, Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, these people who made billions of dollars. And at the same time, I see these people, and to give you an example, James Cameron, he's coming out of school, flip-flopping between majors, studying physics, switching to English, then doing a bunch of odd jobs after graduating. Very similar to a lot of entrepreneurs like the billionaire Sarah Blakely, who did a lot of odd jobs as a salesperson working at Disney World. After she graduated from Florida State University, she was a sorority girl and so forth. And these are people who, again, if recruiters were to assess them based on their credentials so far, which I feel like a lot of people do, they give a very disparaging eye to that person. And also, people who just meet these people off the street, I've seen it myself, they're just very judgmental, looking down on them. Oh my goodness, horrible grades, no real credentials, not a great school, all this stuff. And it's something that shouldn't be done all the time. And on top of that, these are people who are just they don't have a lot to offer, but they have a deep interest in a topic, or their fruits have not fully grown out yet, even though it seems like they are late in life. Now, I think this is such a huge myth in life. Although we have a very life is short, life is very transparent. You don't know when you're gonna die, and if you're, and I think one of the things that a lot of these people have in common is that they are already into their mid-20s, and a lot of people think, oh my goodness, if you are in your late 20s and you haven't decided what you're going to do, or you haven't accomplished much, you're screwed for life, or you're a failure. It's such BS. I think it's such bullshit, honestly. Not always, but I mean, I just keep reading up on all these other people, and it's just so astonishing when you look at like recruiters and people that come to your university, or people who sit in front of you in your interviews. I mean, again, it's a different topic if that person is trying to interview and find the best role for a very specific, distinct job, and you don't have any credentials. I'm putting that aside. Like, if you're trying to apply for a programming specialist position at Google, or you're trying to apply to be a professor at Harvard University for history, and you have no credentials under that, I can understand that. But I do think that a lot of people look down on these people who are very, very, I guess you could say, eager to succeed. They're very content with life, but at the same time, they have a deep interest in a topic, and they're willing to shell out this time to a topic. And James Cameron is one of those people that had this deep interest in this topic of film. He worked full-time as a truck driver, but while doing so, he would spend all his free time just poring over these documents at the University of Southern California's library. He would go there and he just pour over these theses of graduate students who about optical printing, front screen projection, dye transfers. I have the Wikipedia here if you're wondering why I'm looking down. Anything relating to film technology, and he would just sit there and read it, and then he photocopy it if they would let them. And he would do this in his free time, and if they wouldn't let him photocopy it, he would make notes. So think about this. again, there's a difference between the person who has no determination, no drive, no ambition, no doesn't even want to even try. He's a sloth. He's lazy, and this person who, he doesn't have any credentials or notable accomplishments as of yet, and his occupation and what he does so far in his history is poor, but he has ambition and deep interest, and he's willing to put in all this ridiculous time into this stuff in his free time. There's a difference between that, and I do think that it's one of the things that a lot of people fail to do. They judge someone and then they write them off, and they only seek the people that are amazing, or people who have stuff, or they're very superficial in what they're looking for. James Cameron, he had a very distinct interest, and that's something, honestly, outside of myself, because I've done some stuff in very similar in checking out certain books on just bringing home luggage, like literally luggage bag. Oh, I have the luggage bag here. Luggage bags of books on topics. It's a very, very rare thing to find someone who's so ingrained and interested in a topic that they will just pour over it in their free time to such an extent. Warren Buffett did something very similar. He actually read every book on investing in the public library to a extent that he ran out, I think at the age of 11 or 13. And that's just so insane for him to have such a deep interest in a topic. And I think that it's one of the things that is very advantageous. A little bit of luck, because sometimes you can have a very deep interest in something that's just not applicable to making money. So being in the right time period growing up is very much important. So it's one of those things. I remember a friend of mine, a classmate in school once, admitted to me that he read through the entire book on calculus, this thick textbook, for fun. And he was a bit of a prodigy himself, nothing extravagant, but he was like three years above the average grade level in mathematics, which is nothing to scoff at, but at the same time, when you look at it from a national standpoint, there are children who are like 10, 20 years above the average grade level for mathematics. So it's it's a very competitive thing as well. And again, also, despite your interest running deep, or being very feverish, it really has to come from pure interest. For me, I've sort of discovered, lugging home those books on topics like finance and personal finance and investing and stuff like that. It's very useful, but unfortunately, I have other interests outside, and I can't just sit there for hours just pouring over that, although I checked out a lot. So again, you really have to explore, are you really interested in that topic, or are you just trying to convince yourself you're interested to an extent that you can make money off of it? There's deep difference from that. James Cameron was not doing it to make money. He was doing it because he loved learning about dye transfers and all this stuff. And it's very interesting to see how these different dynamics and people influence each other. Cameron was inspired to quit his truck driver job and start into the film industry after seeing the Star Wars film in 1977, which is very, very interesting. And he also did not go to film school. So those of you who are wondering, should I go to film school? Here's an example of a man who did not. And nowadays, technology is getting so much more advanced and crazier that everything's so much cheaper. And the barriers to entry of making a film are like nothing. And the barriers of entry to marketing and letting people know about it are just so immense now. It's free. And the areas of discoverability are just ridiculous, to the extent that you can just put something on YouTube and if you're lucky enough, boom, it can blow up. So that's all I really want to say in a nutshell. I don't know if I'm really that interested in optical printing, dye transfers, film screen projections to the extent that I would check out graduate student theses on the topic. But um, it's, I'm always looking for someone who has that deep interest in the library or whatever. Someone who's just so in depth into a topic that he's just checking out all this stuff out of interest at the school. Unfortunately, I've met a lot of people. I've always had my eyes peeled at the library. It's a very rare thing, and it's not just the library. Just look at what you're doing. But I will say that many people have a lot of somewhat weird interests that have propelled them to success in a lot of different forms. How many views they get on YouTube, how much money they make, how much impact they make on the world, just random stuff, and who knows where that will lead. It's a burgeoning market. I would say there's a lot of weird YouTube channels out there, prank channels, all this stuff that are gaining lots and lots of followers, hundreds of thousands. Gaming channels making millions, but at the same time, those are like the top 0.00001% of the millions of competitors out there. And I do think the market, the audience is growing, but at the same time, the amount of competition is growing rapidly. So therefore, just by the nature of economics, I do think that generally the pieces of pie, the viewers out there, as people watching, are going to be cut up with and distributed with more and more competitors creating videos, and so it's going to go down. But as of right now, it's very interesting because anyone who says YouTube is dying is not a watcher of YouTube like I am. I watch many different channels, industries, and it is growing. Lots of different channels, YouTube channels, just growing out, becoming very successful, creating new, I guess you could say, industries to watch. So I'm very excited. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, and one more thing. If you guys don't know, I have I have varying interests. I actually spent a entire afternoon filming this music video cover to Taylor Swift's new song release called Out of the Woods. It's a song about her relationship with someone, but I felt like that it could be extended to a lot of different things, your obstacles in life. And unfortunately, because of copyright and stuff like that, I could not upload it onto YouTube. She's sort of waging a war against Spotify and other distribution channels to stop it, because she wants to make money, and I don't blame her. As an artist, she has rights to this sort of stuff. So it's one of those things that she's barred any sort of music distribution of her content on YouTube. So unfortunately, I could not upload it. However, I have Vine is a little more lenient on this stuff, which is great. Vine is a web mobile application that shows 6-second clips. So I have been I've thrown out a 6-second clip of part of my music video cover of her song on my Vine account. You can view it at vine.co. That's the website /WILLCHOU. That's my Vine account. The links are below, and also on my Instagram. So that's great in itself. Unfortunately, again, I understand where those people are coming from, intellectual property, and again, with channels of distribution of the internet, it's much harder for musicians now, because now they may not make money even if they can get a smash hit. So Taylor's doing a great job to bring that back to artists, and doing a very successful job. 1989, her album's breaking numerous records. But at the same time, it's quite a shame, because I produced quite this amazing, well, I don't know, it's somewhat amateur for some people, but this music cover thing, and unfortunately I cannot upload it anywhere, Vimeo, YouTube, or anything like that. And so I did a small 6-second clip of part of it on my Vine, if you want to check that out, and my Instagram. So that's all I really want to say in a nutshell. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I pray they don't take that down from Vine or Instagram anytime soon. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.